All right, welcome back. Hello. Yes. Today is Tuesday, July 21st. Yesterday, I started this book called Chester the Worldly Pig. What a ding-dong doozy this book is. Let me catch you up really fast. Here's Chester, and he's like, I'm going to amount to something. I know, I'll join the circus. I'm going to climb up on this fence post and balance my nose, and when the train comes by, hopefully carrying the circus, they'll notice me and they'll put me in the circus. The train comes by, but everybody's asleep. Oh well, I know what to do. I'm going to run away from my farm and catch them up, and I'm going to show them what I can do. And that's exactly what he did. He's like, I'm not going to lose my nerve. I'm going to do this. I can do this. And he did it, and he impressed everybody, and he was in the circus. And then what they did was they put him with 5 tigers. He fainted. He couldn't do his trick. And they said, okay, well, forget about you then. We'll just put you in a baby carriage and embarrass you in front of a whole bunch of people. And that'll be that. Well, Chester wasn't so happy with that. So he said, you know what? Forget the circus. I'm done with this. I'm going to run away. He ran away and he came face to face with a bear. He was only one jump away when all of a sudden, part 2 begins now. He stopped with a snort and stood up. The pig had run straight for the camp of 3 tattered old tramps, and the bear wanted no part of them. His last meeting with men had cost him a piece of one ear, so with a grumbling growl, he turned and lumbered off. No wonder the bear was so scared, thought Chester, after taking one look at the 3 fierce faces overgrown with beards. Rusty red, grizzled gray, and bushy black, they were enough to scare anyone. These guys don't look so nice. I bet Chester's going to be just fine. So Chester decided to take his chances in the woods, but not quite quickly enough. Just as he turned to go, the red beard sprang and in one wild grab seized the flying cape, jerked the pig off his feet, and stuffed him snout first into a sack. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Can't leave you out here in the woods, piggy, he muttered as he tied the top of the sack. It's not safe. He's safe now, grinned the Graybeard, at least till supper time. Now all we need is beans, said Blackbeard. Nothing like pork and beans. Turnip greens, said Graybeard. They're best with roast pig. Oh no, growled Red. He's going to be boiled with a batch of sauerkraut. They're talking about how they're going to eat him. You better get away, Chester. You better find a way. Just then, a train whistle echoed through the pines, and the 3 tramps quickly gathered up their gear, strapped on their packs, and hurried off through the woods toward the railroad, with Redbeard toting the pig's sack. Although he couldn't see, Chester could tell by the bouncing of the sack and the growing rumble of train wheels just what was happening. The rumbling grew into heavy thunder as the 3 tramps caught up with the long freight crawling up the steep mountain grade. They scrambled up the ladder to the top of a boxcar, then settled down for a free and easy ride to almost anywhere. So they are getting on a train. That's what these guys do in the old times. They kind of didn't have any jobs, and they said, I'm just going to ride this train and look for opportunities. And they do have an opportunity in their sack. They put Chester in their bag, and now they're getting on the train and seeing what life has in store for them. It was a miserable trip for Chester. The day was scorching hot, and he was barely able to breathe through the sack. But he was no worse off than the 3 tramps who rode along under an endless cloud of train smoke, which showered them with hot cinders and soot. And in their misery, they began to quarrel. I'm the one that caught this pig, Redbeard roared above the noise of the train, so I'm keeping them all to myself. Oh, no, you don't, bellowed Blackbeard. It's share and share alike. That's the rule. And rules is rules, growled Graybeard. I'm breaking the rules, roared Red. So what are you going to do about it? And the shouting went on through the long, hot, smoky afternoon. And at the end of the day, when the train pulled into a freight yard on the outskirts of a big city, the quarrel had gone so far the tramps had decided to split up. But before they parted, they just had one fight over Chester. A furious tug of war, with all 3 jerking and pulling on the sack at once. Suddenly the sack ripped in 2 and out popped the pig. All right, they're fighting over who's going to eat him. And they broke the bag, and out pops Chester. I hope he can get away. In one bounce, Chester was on his feet and bounding away over the tracks across the freight yard, straight into the path of a speeding locomotive. Watch out, Chester! Excuse me, I got so excited. Lucky thing that the pig was light on his feet. He hadn't eaten for days, and in one leap, he sailed lightly over the cowcatcher, leaving the 3 beards waiting for the train to pass. By the time the caboose came rattling by, the pig was long gone. He had disappeared into the big city beyond. So he continues to have adventures. He's becoming worldly. And he got away from these three guys, the three beards. At night, as night came on, it began to drizzle, and the bedraggled pig wandered aimlessly along the dreary streets with no idea of where he was going. On every side were dark, ghostly buildings with their yawning doorways and dingy storefronts. And it seemed to the small pig that every other store was a butcher shop with the signs of doom printed boldly on the windows. Fresh ham, smoked ham, choice bacon, pork chops, pork sausage, pickled pig's feet. It was plain to see that the big city was no place for a pig, at least a live pig. Well, one thing, sighed Chester. I'm much too tired to figure out anything tonight. And he wandered into a narrow alley where he found an overturned barrel by a junk heap. He crawled in out of the drizzle, and with a groan of despair, the unhappy pig dropped off to sleep. All right, so he'll figure his situation out in the morning, but he's not in a very pig-friendly part of town. Chester was up and on his way before daylight. He was taking no chances of getting caught in the big city, for now he had made other plans, and he hurried along the deserted streets, always going in the direction which he figured would take him out into the country. When the sun peeped over the horizon, he was trotting along a dusty road past the wheat fields. Then at the first barn lot he came to, he turned in the gate to give himself up, and the farmer greeted the stray pig with open arms. First, the farmer shucked off the bonnet and dress, just in case someone might be out looking for a pig wearing baby clothes, then plunked him in a pen and filled the trough. He intended to make the most of this free little pig, which was just fine with Chester, for he had decided that if he must go the way of all pigs, that he was going to go in a big way. In a great big way. So he ate his fill every day, and like any other pig, when he wasn't eating, he was sleeping. So this is going to be his new life for a bit. Farmer's going to take care of him, and he's just going to have fun eating and sleeping. To the farmer's delight, after a couple of years later, Chester ballooned into a huge blimp of a pig. And one morning, the happy farmer said, "Today, this little pig goes to market." Chester's not going to like that. On that very same morning, a carnival van, that was his first dream if you remember, stopped at the farm, and out of the cab stepped a dignified white-whiskered man with a broad-brimmed hat and a fancy frock coat. He had stopped to buy fresh eggs, but when he saw the huge pig, he forgot all about the eggs. Maybe Chester will have another chance to join this circus. "What will you take for your pig?" he asked. The farmer thought about it for a minute, then named his price, which was at least twice what he figured the pig was worth. And to the farmer's surprise, the man didn't so much as bat an eye. He counted out the money, and the deal was closed. After the pig was loaded aboard and the van drove away, the farmer had himself a good laugh. "So he thinks he's bought the world's biggest pig? Why, I've seen at least a dozen bigger ones at the county fair." But if the fellow had gone to school long enough to study geography, he'd have known that Chester was much more than plain big. So the farmer's thinking, "Yeah, I'll sell you for a lot of money because he's a big pig." This guy's like, "He's not even that big. That's not why I even bought him." Why did he buy him? Let's see if you can look at this picture. What do you see on Chester that's interesting as far as geography goes? For the next day, Chester was introduced to the crowd as in the carnival tent as the one and only worldly pig. "Now, if you please, move in a little closer," said the white-whiskered man, who has this voice now all of a sudden. "You will see the entire map of the world imprinted by nature upon this remarkable creature's enormous hide. On its left side, the continents of North and South America, including the land of Australia, which is down under, of course." The crowd gasped in amazement, while Chester oinked in surprise. He was just as amazed as anyone. "But that's only half of it," said the man, turning the pig around on his revolving platform. "On his right side, we find Europe, Africa, and Asia, and for good measure, even that tiny island of Borneo. So you see, my friends, this amazing pig is truly one of nature's wonders, untouched by inks, paints, stains, or dyes, and to remove all possible doubt, we will now give our worldly wonder a good, sound scrubbing." So they're going to say, and to prove this is natural, that he has the map of the world on his skin, I guess, we're going to scrub him really clean. And there we go. It's going to end with a good bath for Chester. Then Chester was treated to the first bath he had in all his life, and he squealed with pleasure. It felt good to be clean. Not spotlessly clean, however. When the foamy suds had been rinsed away, the map came out to more plainly than ever, with the oceans a glowing pig pink. Then, as the admiring crowd rocked the tent with applause, and the delighted pig took a few more worldly turns to show off his spectacular spots. But if he had ever heard that show-offish actors were sometimes called hams, Chester would have surely been horrified. There we go. What a ding-dong doozy of a book. Chester, the Worldly Pig by Bill Peet. See you tomorrow.